to do the newspapers. I have to say good morning to you, Antoinette Ofebia Sante. You are a lab technician with the Agomoda Health Center. Agomoda Health Center, just right here. And I have to say that I wish you the blessings of God for the day. But I do have Gifty and Wapia, and then also our own Joseph Akable right on stream. Good morning to the two of you. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Roland, just as the many other people you've been wishing and sending messages to on a daily basis.
I've only said one. Because if there are to be many, then I think I need to add one. Gifty, how are you?
I'm blessed. Apparently, I was muted.
Oh, you were? I didn't know that. I think there are some witches in the stream, so don't worry. We've let them loose now, so you're okay. And
next week, I'll be sending my happy birthdays.
Your wishes. Oh, Charlie.
And my dedications to all the Chichinga sellers in my area.
Well, that's great. You live in an area where they do Chichinga. It's serious, oh.
Of course. I live at Spintex. There are Chichinga joints all over the place.
Oh, no, that's refined. Spintex for that before. Okay, so Gifty will be doing... Gifty, you are doing which one?
I have the Finder newspaper and Business and Financial Times, BNFT. Okay, should I go with the Finder?
And then Joseph, you are doing?
I'm doing the Ghanaian Times and the Daily Statesman.
Great, well, Gifty, please, you can start.
Okay, so I'll start with the Finder newspaper. The banner headline, 6 days for each phase. It says EC explains 5-phase cluster system. It comes with a picture of Jean Mensah, the chairperson of the Electoral Commission. And of course, beneath that is President Akufo-Addo. And the story is elections in December is a must. There is no other way. President, enough stories on page 5, comes with a picture of President Akufo-Addo. And just beneath that as well is protection of countries' borders is for safety. It's on page 4, and it says it's for safety of Ghanaians, not tribalism, upon Nkrumah. Has something that looks like an advert on the front page of the Finder newspaper. In the center spread is the story about the protection of our borders. Comes with a picture of Kojo Nkrumah with the whole story. And the military must treat the people of Aplau with civility. That's according to the Aplau chiefs. And then COVID-19 free water for Ghanaians ends today. Maybe Akable is not very excited about that story, but you have to start paying your water bill from now. And then another story there is elections in December. That story is on the front page. You find it in the middle center spread. And on the back page is Valentina Minta breaks 100-year record. That's a story that I'm passionate about as well. And NPP confident of another resounding victory. Globe presents prizes to more winners in Kumasi. I think that's it. The Finder also has President direct Auditor-General to take accumulated leave, and GNPC's KK Sapon commence COVID-19 private sector fund for impressive progress on Ghana's first infectious disease facility. That's the 10 CD challenge, which is really cool. So that's it for the Finder newspaper. I have the BNFT. Shall I go on, or do we do something else?
Yeah, do that one, and then we'll come to you before we go to Joseph. Okay,
so BNFT, banner headline, Bank of Ghana confident of stable CD despite 2.4% depreciation. Story is on page 3. MSMEs can offer economy more, but government's effort required. And then CH Foundation donates $100,000 to the COVID-19 private sector fund. Very interesting story. About time we started to retrack, the money with that fund as well. We've been having conversations about it. Then another story is boost for cocoa's future. muscle readies for 12,000 youth to take over from aging farmers. And Kiapa Cocoa Cooperative loses majority shares in UK's Divine Chocolate. Still on the BNFT, 692,000 young people to benefit from COVID-19 recovery program, and integrity fundamental in accounting profession. So those are the headlines we find in the BNFT and the Finder newspaper.
Okay. And let me come to the studio, do a couple, then I'll go to Joseph. I do have on the front page of the Daily Graphic, voters registration begins today. Exercise to last 38 days, has an attached picture of Mrs. Jean Mensah, the chairperson for Ghana's Electoral Commission. I know the Daily Graphic is a paper that is widely patronized. A former boss of mine, Nanaya Jim Fikesi, managing director of the Road Safety Management Services Limited, always likes to read this. Without this, his day is never complete. Go out and register. President urges Ghanaians, and that also follows that story. It was just back to back yesterday, as if we're having some songs being played by Alexis Bill. After that press conference, the president also followed with that nationwide address. What a way for us to end our evening. JHS 3 students are also back in school. It's occupying the front page of the Daily Graphic, and there's some latest on our COVID cases. 17,000 in excess, recoveries and discharges, 12,000, and then we do have deaths, 112 so far. Electoral Commission 2020 voters registration exercise movement plan. The phase 1 has been published in pages 22 to 59 of the Daily Graphic. So you grab a copy, you get to know. You can also get all that on myjoyonline.com. All those updates are there as well. Women in Agric received 2.5 million Ghana cedis from the Ministry of Food and Agriculture. That's on the back page of the Daily Graphic. And then we do have the Ghanaian Times, also on the front page, the story about the voter registration exercise beginning today. The president is also up there. It's not only about what he said regarding the Electoral Commission, but also that directive coming from his office, Auditor-General, to take accumulated leave. It's received some mixed reactions so far, not only in the public space, but also in the media. NDC Volta MP's caucus demands immediate withdrawal of military personnel, but the defense minister came up straight away. Just about 30 minutes or an hour after that news conference. Military deployment not to intimidate residents, he clarifies. He went on to extensively tell us which number of personnel of our military have been deployed at which border post and then which towns. So it makes it easy for you to get to know where they are and, well, how you can navigate your way through, possibly. EC deploys 44,000 officials for registration exercise, and also on the front page of the Ghanaian Times. Joseph Akable, you have the Statesman, and then the Ghanaian, oh, I did the Ghanaian Times for you, sorry.
Yes, I'll do just the Daily Statesman. The front page of the Daily Statesman, it has the story about the Auditor-General says a president directs the Melovo to take his accumulated leave, and the EC election that's December election is for Ghanaians. That's according to the president. Then government has no agenda against any tribe is coming from the defense minister, Dominic Initiwo. And still on the front page, it has the notice of the compilation of the 2020 voters register. And so it appears the EC is quite big on putting this information out there to ensure that people go out there to register. The back page of the Daily Statesman has this story about Liverpool boss saying fans must wait to celebrate together. And Real Madrid top of the La Liga after beating Espanyol, also on the back page of the Daily Statesman news, Paroland.
Well, and the Daily Guide, the Finder, all of them have stories on the new voters register. So too do we have for the Enquirer, but slanting towards more of the NDC. NDC giving a Akufo-Addo ultimatum to withdraw the military, and the Dispatch also has a number of these stories as well. Military deployment, bow your heads in shame. Nito will blast NDC over 24-hour ultimatum. In a pick, the two of you, let me start with you, Gifty. The head of our security desk.
Well, I have I have a number of picks. Well, I'm getting the indication that my internet is unstable. I hope it works this time and we don't get it truncated along the line. But with this military deployment, I can say for a fact that way back in, I think, March or April, I can't really remember, but I think last year when we did the story on the porous borders, we knew about Operation Conquered Face. So I can say for a fact that that was a program that was already going on. What I didn't hear in the Volta region, though, is the presence of the military. I knew there was military presence in the up north, but I didn't know about the Volta. It is true when government says that it's been going on. What I don't know is what influenced the presence of the military in the Volta region. And of course, the government particularly disappointed that in this day and age, we're still having conversations about politics that ropes in tribalism, even though we know the deep problems that this creates for us as a country. We are, unfortunately for us, our politics is so embedded, deeply embedded in tribal politics, whether we like it or not. And I was hoping that in 2020, we would have seen the way forward. So when the NDC held their press conference and listed the government's, what they called the government failed promises or the manifesto assessment way to go for politicians. And then, so when they did the press conference, they Ministry of Information also came up and talked about, brought the manifesto and put it side by side, juxtaposed it and told us what they think they have done, etc. That, what everybody said, was the way to go with our politics, back into the tribal politics, which doesn't help anybody, which only inflames passion, and which only makes it very difficult for us to be able to resolve conflicts, which is inevitably some way, somehow, a part of elections, especially in our part of the world. So I am particularly disappointed about that, and I'm hoping that these politicians will sit up and look at the bigger picture, the national interest. I mean, I can look at that's the ideal picture. Hopefully we'll get there, but it might take, I just wanted to comment on it, that it's not a good thing the way we're having the conversation, and I'm hoping that we'll do the right thing going forward. If there are concerns by the residents of military brutality or targeting any persons, by all means, we should deal with it. But I think that we should move away from this tribalism and how we've come.
Charlie Gifty. That's the head of our Defense and Security Desk.
I don't know if I should go ahead with what really is my take, Roland. Do I have your permission?
No, wait, Akable, you want to have a bite?
Okay, so there's a story that seems insignificant. Okay.
Yeah, Roland, and so the issue with regards to the registration, I mean, I think as we are commenting today, those who will be participating, we are clear in our minds what the process is. We know that you need a passport, or a Ghana card. Alternatively, you can get 2 individuals who are registered voters to validate that you are indeed a Ghanaian. I mean, I think it's a straightforward process. And what causes the tension sometimes is that people go to these registration centers and they try to say that, okay, this person is not a Ghanaian, this person is not a Ghanaian. There's a challenge avenue available. And so we want to see people using the channel avenue and not to just simply stand there and look at someone and say, this person is not a Ghanaian. And as the lawyers have said time and again, someone not being a Ghanaian is a question of law. It's not something that anyone can look at another person and conclude that the person is not a Ghanaian. And so we must ensure that we use the challenge process that is laid down and not people shouting at each other at those centers, because especially in the areas where there are already tensions like the Volta region, because of their feeling that soldiers have been deployed to prevent people who are legitimately Ghanaians from registering. Our outsiders believe that they are actually there to prevent persons who are not Ghanaians from registering. So there are 2 ways to look at it, and we expect that they use the challenge process. We obviously have our reporters dotted in various parts of the country to monitor the exercise, and that is the expectation. And I think if that is carried out following the procedure, we should have a peaceful registration exercise, and hopefully over the period that the EC intends to undertake this exercise, we'll be able to register as many Ghanaians as possible so that we all get onto the roll and make our voice heard on December 7th.
Well, I know that it's become a very important but a thorny issue. I think that as a country, we've all have failed. We have ROPA. The ROPA grants us the opportunity to be able to enrope everybody in to be part of the electoral process, and then to be a registered Ghanaian and vote at a time when we want to have elections of such a nature, whether the person is around the country or its borders, but just resident outside. It makes it easier. And I was thinking that if the political actors wanted this to be a feature where we're going to avoid all this confusion, then the implementation of ROPA should have become a central feature of all the advocacy relating to this very election. Then that would have resolved all the difficulties that we're having currently with who is a Ghanaian, relating to how we do the crisscrossing along our borders. When you're far off from the borders, that is no argument. But when we have Ghanaian citizens who are elsewhere in Togo, or you may find them in Burkina Faso or Cote d'Ivoire, it becomes a thorny issue because we know that proximity becomes an important issue. They can easily crisscross. So when you send troops closer to the border towns, especially even though there's COVID, but closer to a registration period, their tongues definitely will start wagging. But at the end of the day, I believe that perhaps a better stakeholder consultation would have improved the commentary or the position that many of these political actors or the politicians have taken in relation to this. But we have to be...
I think we generally have challenges with consensus building, because if we had built the consensus that we wanted to register, I mean, by now we would have channeled our energies towards how to carry out the process in a manner that is safe for all of us and ensures that most of us get onto it. But there's always the disagreement. On the other hand, if we had decided we are not going to do it at all, we could have focused on other things as well. And so it's the failure to build a consensus that drags everything, and eventually we get off to an acrimonious start, and it affects the entire process. Hopefully things change, I mean, but it's just a hope.
Talking about consensus building, Akable, political scientists and other social scientists have said that in an election where the stakes are high, especially in African elections, you would not, one of the things you will find rarely present is consensus. You will not find consensus. What you can do is work on processes that helps you come to a compromise. So you can reach a compromise rather than build consensus. So I guess if we have focused on it, because we're looking at the perfect picture, which we can't get. So we need to get to the compromise. Like you said, we seem to me like we started on the wrong footing, but hopefully we'll be able to re-engineer ourselves and correct the mistakes that we've made going forward and get the right things.
Again, just another hope, I guess.
Okay, Roland, shall I go on with the BNFT? Okay,
yes,
that's actually I have a take.
Okay, please
go ahead. I have a take in the BNFT.
Right, go ahead. Gifty, I'm waiting for you.
Okay, so it looks like an insignificant story. It's in the BNFT. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can, Gifty.
Okay. So, okay, sorry. Gomez was telling me that my internet is 1 Ghana cedi bundle. But anyway, so in the BNFT, there are two stories that seem contrasting to me. So there is a big headline that says, "Boost for Cocoa's Future. Maso readies over 12,000 youth to take over from aging farmers." Then right beneath that story, there's a story that says, Piapa Cocoa Cooperative loses majority shares in UK's Divine Chocolate. And if you read the first paragraph of the story, it tells you how a wholly owned cocoa cooperative is losing its interest to a German company. I think it's worrying. It's military deployment. It's not the registration, but I think it's an area we want to take already young people and getting them into agriculture. We're talking about boosting our cocoa industry, which is one of the biggest cash cows we have as a country. And then in 2020, when people are talking about better stakes for our farmers, and giving our farmers, making our farmers better off for the hard work they put in, we're talking about a wholly owned cocoa cooperative losing its shares to a German company. I'm not sure we are really serious about this conversation. And if we want to go by the president's talk about Ghana beyond a gradually to get to the top, it's something that caught my attention, and I thought that I should bring it up.
Well, my
final take will be Daniel Domel, an Auditor General, where yesterday I spoke to the GI, former head of the GI, Vitus Azim, who said that, Okay, go on.
No, in relation to the cocoa industry, in 2019, there was a joint cocoa conference that was convened by Ghana and Ivory Coast. And if you take our two productions combined, were the biggest producers in the world. Of course, in Latin America, we have Brazil also focusing and getting an edge. But the worldwide industry is capitalized or worth 100 billion. And Ghana gets about 2 billion, 2.5 billion. Cote d'Ivoire also just gets the same. So in total, we get about $5 billion. But the people who don't grow the cocoa, the countries that don't grow the cocoa, they add the value and they make the money. So it's even sad that this has become a talking point this morning, when we do know that we can do more to add value to the industry that we have. It's just a very sad commentary about our state.
Yeah.
Joseph.
I just thought I'll bring that to our attention whilst we do the military and the EC that overshadows all these little stories. I just thought I'll give it a bit of a highlight. If I can go on with my final take so that my internet doesn't mess up once again, it is the Auditor-General story. The Auditor-General story. I mean, you're talking about two wrongs not making a right, because we see in the story the presidency referring to what happened under John Evans at a Mills, how someone was asked to proceed on leave. But in this country, okay, my painting just fell. But in this country, when you're saying proceed on leave, we know what that means. Okay, we know that it means that someone wants to get you out. And yesterday we did speak to the board chair, who indicated that they've been asking this man to step aside and go on leave, and he's been adamant. So they decided to write to the presidency. We all know, I can't even believe about the points. I'll perhaps leave it to you. But we all know what this looks like, what it smells like, what it feels like. And unfortunately, the leave days are outstanding. You have to proceed on leave as well. So it's two-edged for me. Why do you stay and accumulate your leave over 100 days? I mean, I don't think it's okay. But then why do you also ask someone to proceed on leave when obviously the person is taking up cases which, looks like things that he's standing up against people in government. So it looks very clear as if there's a grand plan to get him out, especially since we have a few months to the election and all of that. That's what I'm saying. It's a two-edged thing. And we as a country are really doing ourselves a lot of disservice if we continue to go along this line.
Joseph, you want to have a 30 seconds bite on this before we go for a break?
I think government just gave the opposition parties and CSOs ammunition, and confirmation for what they had feared and complained about, that there was a grand scheme to have Mr. Domelove removed. Why does someone have to take more than 100 leave days at the same time? We all go on leave. It's spread out, even if he has to even take that number of days. And so this is not in the interest of government at all. And it's quite unfortunate. And we know that the other public officials who have also have accumulated leave. And this is someone who has been at the forefront of corruption. There may not be an agenda, but it just doesn't look good for the government image in terms of how it is reacting to someone who is seen and loved by many as a key campaigner, anti-corruption campaigner. And we hope that, this finds some resolution. It's not the very best at all.
Resolution. Not too sure whether there'll be a resolution to this. I just hope that he survives this missile this time around. It's just 123 days. I'm hoping that in 123 days' time, which will mean by just a week or two away from the election. We all know what is coming. But we're all laughing about it, and we shouldn't be laughing, shouldn't we? Well, we have to.
Yeah. We can't keep ourselves. We have to laugh off some of the difficulties we find in our Ghanaian politics.
I know, right? We're already frustrated with COVID, so what do we have to do? Well, thank you, Joseph Akable, and then Gifty and Apia. I wish you the best for the day as well. It's another working day, so we'll see how all of you take yourselves through once again, one day at a time. But in the meantime, wherever you're watching us, we say get interactive. We have Facebook JoyNews on TV. We also do have our Twitter handle at JoyNews on TV. You can get all the latest updates through myjawline.com, and JoyNews TV is our regular YouTube channel where you get live streams and talking about all the things that you need to go. We have to break and go for sports. Again, good morning to you, Nanaya Jemfikese, Managing Director, Road Safety Management Services Limited. I wish you all the best for the morning. We're taking a break. We'll be right back with sports.